indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do roll call. Kristen Shorey.
Here.
Haley Keiser.
Here.
Chris McLaughlin.
Here.
Stephanie Euler.
Here.
Debbie Koalas.
Here.
Shannon Knowles.
Here.
Grace Kelly. Not here. Ava Benjamin. Not here. Item 2, agenda adjustments.
Yep, we have 2 agenda adjustments. Were these in the package, Jody? Yeah. They were added to your packet. We have an additional resignation. Miss Brianna Franklin, HMS Resource Room Teacher. And appointments to co-curricular, extracurricular positions. Christy Robinson for HHS Spring Production Director. Jeremy McIntyre, JV Baseball Coach. Aaron Oakes, Volunteer Softball Assistant, and Shannon Graves, Volunteer Softball Assistant.
I make a motion to approve the agenda adjustments as stated.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 3, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
I did have a question. I noticed that it was stated that they had hired an engineer and that was unable to be confirmed that it was an engineer, and also that that person was going to be choosing the winning bid, which is against our policy. Is that something we want to edit, or can we discuss that?
Yeah, we can discuss it. Where are you looking?
Under C, main drinking water, about the PFAS. So it says hired engineer Kathy Rogers. I looked into that and then checked back with you guys. You were unable to confirm that that was an engineer and just going through our DJ fitting process. Is there a benefit to waiving the policy so that they're circumventing and allowing someone else to choose the winning bid, or?
What are you suggesting for a change?
This is to.
We've been unable to confirm that that person is an engineer.
Okay, but we're talking about adjustments to.
Yes, so we either confirm that or remove that part. Or you,
So I'm just trying to get straight what you're asking. What would you like changed in the meeting minutes?
strike the word engineer.
Okay. Do you have a sec? Is that a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to strike the word engineer because that has not been confirmed.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries. Item 4, proclamations and presentations. A, committee acknowledgements.
I just wanted to acknowledge all of the principals. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, Mrs. Davis, and Mr. Freeman for the extensive reports that you gave us this month with a lot of specifics and good information for us to have prior to tonight. Thank you.
I want to recognize the successful wrap-up of the winter sports, and I wanted to talk about the Junior Achievement Program that we're bringing back to the 3rd grade. Junior Achievement is a volunteer program that teaches people about money and being entrepreneurs, and anybody's able to volunteer for Junior Achievement, so I definitely encourage people to take part in it because it's a great way to help out the young kids learning about money.
I wanted to congratulate those for Skills USA VICA, something I participated in high school. It's near and dear to my heart, and so I was glad to see that that's something that our school participates in, so congratulations to those people. And I second what was said about the principals have all worked hard to do great reports and communicate openly and respond quickly to emails and just to the parents and to others. So I'm just very thankful for that.
I just wanted to say, good work for the cheering. The cheer, that takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and the opportunity for the poetry out loud, and to interact with the master's class, to be able to interact with an actor, to have that opportunity. There are a lot of good opportunities here, and I see those continuing in the future. So, thank you.
Any other acknowledgements? Okay, that will take us to B, public comments. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We're about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. While state law in Maine requires a public comment item on agendas of a full meeting of the school committee, we also believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues, and so we're pleased to have this as an agenda item. Having said that, please note that the committee is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion, and accordingly, please do not expect the committee to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. At the outset, we ask the speakers to identify themselves with name and town of residence. I also want to point out that per our policy, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel or specific roles. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously, and on those matters, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. The committee will now entertain public comments from community members. Each individual speaker is allotted 3 minutes, and the guidelines that I just communicated here will also go for the public comment during the specific agenda items. So with that, first up is Sean McBrady.
Just this button here.
I think it's on already. Don't hit the button.
How about now? Sean McBride, Hamden, March 3rd, 2023 press release. School denies Freedom of Access Act public documents. Superintendent calls 911 on education advocate. A lawsuit's been filed at Penobscot County Maine Superior Court against School Board Chair Jesse Keith, Vice Chair Kristen Quinn Shorey, and Superintendent Micah Grant. The Hermon School Department and its administrators have been in national news recently as the majority of the school board was not willing to place sexualized material standards into their content policy. McBride made public records requests asking for transparency on a new superintendent's training binder written by lawyers Drummond Woodson. He also requested written materials about Hermon School Board member Chris McLaughlin and 2 librarians, Kara Schwartz and Brittany McAllister. These librarians collaborated with an ex-teacher, Mallory Cook.
You've referenced the name of one of our school department employees, and as I mentioned in my opening remarks, our policy prohibits any complaints or allegations concerning any persons employed by the school department or against particular students. You can find that in our policy BEDH section 2H, and I'm just kindly asking you to refrain from using school department employee names going forward during public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take my 20 seconds back, but the First Amendment allows me to speak about whatever I wish. So rather than provide transparency, Mr. Grant called 911. The call went like this: 911, what's your emergency? He's just here. He won't leave. You can view the Penobscot County Sheriff's incident report of defendant Micah Grant having a meltdown after Mr. McBride took a selfie with him in the public superintendent's office. It was just a complete clown show, but that's par for the course with Superintendent Grant. He's in charge of responding to FOA requests, but he doesn't even understand the law, and took a deputy off patrol to try to intimidate me. Mr. Grant has facilitated so much bad press in Hermon since he failed up into the superintendent's position. When he was at the middle school as principal, 8 out of 10 fifth graders couldn't even meet math standards. His kids don't even go to the school system that he runs. Co-defendants Jesse Keith and Kristen Shorey are not appreciative of Mr. McBride's opinions, content, or viewpoints. They don't like me exposing the horrors of the Maine educational system and the Hermon School Department's taxpayer-paid indoctrination centers. Now, I've already won a First Amendment lawsuit against RSU 22, galvanizing parents' rights at this podium to speak about whomever they wish, whenever they wish. Now, I've been standing up for students, parents, and taxpayers in the state of Maine and the nation for nearly 3 years. So many hesitate to speak up due to the pressure from today's cancel culture. So we're forced to take this fight to the school administrators utilizing our constitutional rights. And citizens of Maine are educating themselves about the multitude of issues being found within these school systems. The insanity of the huge property tax burdens as these public schools produce horrific educational results. People are starting to speak out against the MDOE, the MEA Teachers Union, and the MSMA. Maine's K-12 education system is in full-blown crisis. So pull your kids from the school now, or fight for their education like their lives depend on it, because they do. There is no third option. Thank you, and I'll see you all in court.
Next up is Richard Sear.
Mr. Grant, School Board, my name's Richard Sear. I was asked to, when I come up to speak, announce that I am on the town council. I am here as a private citizen this day. Parable, camel in the tent. There was a camel that tried to get into a tent. The owner wouldn't let it in. Went back to the back of the tent, and after a while it stuck its nose under the tent. Nothing was done, nothing was said. Then after a while, it had its head under the tent. Nothing was done, nothing was said. Then it had its legs, then the upper body, then finally the entire camel was in the tent. Where am I going with this? President Clinton wanted to have abortion legal, safe, and rare. Now people go around touting how proud they are. They've had 1, 2, 3, or more abortions. You can even have a child almost completely born and you snip the neck and they're aborted. Virginia even had a time when they were trying to have it so that a baby could be born, be kept on a table, and kept comfortable for up to 2 weeks till the mother decided whether she was going to keep it or abort it. Camel in the tent. It's legal to show sexual material to children unless it's educational. And that was originally supposed to be in health class. And now we have pornographic books in the library, sexual themes presented to other class room settings, and parents are not told what their kids are doing. When you reach the age of consent, I don't care what you do, as long as you don't hurt somebody. I don't care which appendage you insert, which orifice of anybody else, unless it's consensual. What I care about is when you try to groom children into doing different ways of life. Children growing up have a confused and difficult enough time as it is with growing bodies, hormonal changes, and trying to find out where they're going to be in life. And they don't need all this crap taught in the other classes. It should be reading, writing, math, science, things like that. I was also asked after the last meeting that I should follow the science. I'm not a psychologist, I'm a biologist. But I can tell you that trans kids have a 1 in 4 chance of committing suicide. Thank you.
Thank you. Takes us to item 5, Personnel A, resignations.
You have 2 resignations before you. Gabe Mason, HMS Ed Tech in the resource room at the middle school, obviously, and Brianna Franklin, HMS resource room teacher.
Okay. That takes us to B, the agenda adjustment, co-extracurricular positions.
Yes, and those, from the asterisk, obviously you can see that Christy Robinson is new to that position, and the other 3 are all returning to those positions of JV coach and volunteer assistant.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, old business. A, excused absence of school committee members. We had none. So that'll take us to B, 2023-2024 school calendar. Before we get into the discussion, I'll open it up for public comment. Okay, public comment's now closed.
I move to approve the second reading of the 2023-2024 school calendar.
Seconded?
Any discussion?
We spoke with the Deputy Commissioner of Education this week, last Friday, and in my conversation with him, it looks as though all remote days will be approved via a waiver if we submit that for next year. So I don't know if there was any discussion here about that at the last meeting, but that was one of the things that I was a little, wanted to verify first, and I did speak with Dan Shuda, and as long as we provide a lunch that day, which would be a bag lunch the day before, thankfully it's a Tuesday, so we'll be able to get that out on Monday, that day will be considered a day of school for the elementary school on November 7th.
Great.
We did have that discussion.
And you spoke with Superintendent Turner. This aligns with their calendar.
Almost, not quite. We're off a day, right?
I think we're at 4 days, but it's fine. We've got it.
So my primary concern is we had our regional meeting last week about lining up with the United Technology Center. So that was the primary focus of our calendar alignment and not being off days with UTC. So I feel very good about this calendar.
Yeah, last year was 11 days.
Okay.
So much better. Much better.
Okay, all right, thank you guys. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Because we vote on the calendar in our district.
Okay. Item 7, new business A, probationary teachers.
You have in front of you a list of probationary teachers that are either currently in their first year here at the Hermon campuses or in their second year. The principals have submitted all the necessary evaluatory paperwork. That was something that we've really had a strong focus on this year. We're back to normal, if you will. And one of our major pushes was making sure that we conducted all our pop-in and evaluative observations. And so those have all been completed, and you have the principals making their recommendations. They sent me the evaluations, and you have the list on, let's see here, where is that? Is that at the back of the pack?
That's right after the calendar.
Thank you. Yes, and so you are voting on the column 1 to the left are people who are in their first year with us, moving on to year 2, and the people in the right-hand column are people who are in their second year and are moving on to year 3. Those individuals will be moving into professional contracts.
Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the continuing contract teachers.
Any discussion?
Can we just do the high school separate?
Yes. Let's, so we can either amend the motion or you can
I retract my motion.
retract. Okay.
I move to approve.
Okay. You retract your,
I did.
who's seconding?
I do.
Okay. Retract? Okay, thank you. All right, sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
I move to approve the probationary teachers for Patricia A. Duran School, the Hermon Middle School. And, oh yeah, there's someone who overlaps with both, so that's what
We'll take that at the high school, take it in high school.
Okay.
Seconded.
Any discussion on the, on pads and the middle school? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Because we'll vote on the high school ones.
Can I have a motion for the high school items?
I move to approve the employment of probationary teachers for Hermon High School as listed.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Item 8, reports. A, admin reports.
Couple of things. The first thing is, I just wanted to give you an update regarding the PFAS testing. Mr. Walsh and I had the pleasure, is he back there? Yeah, he's back there. Mr. Walsh and I had the pleasure of meeting with several representatives. They heard about our failed PFAS results, and they came and we talked to them, and we tried to not make a political statement. We tried to just tell them what our results were and how the testing was. So hopefully they aren't using us to rally any support down in Augusta, but we had a really good conversation with several of our reps, and I want to thank Mr. Thorne for setting that up. We are currently waiting for the Maine Drink Water Program to approve our grant. So that's the phase that we are in right now, just in case you are wondering. And we are currently working with Oak Grove to supply water, and you probably walked by one of the bubblers on your way in. So working with Oak Grove for our bubblers, and we'll have those in place for the remainder of, obviously, the foreseeable future until that mitigation system is put in place. The second thing, this probably is a little bit overlapping with the Finance Committee, but I do want to thank Mr. Berry, the town manager, as well as Miss Haggerty, and didn't see Mr. Snyder at the finance meeting. It was pretty bad weather. I know he plows quite a bit, but I just want to thank those two, and then when he does join us, it's nice to have town representation there and to get their mindset from the early stages of the budget. So just appreciate the two of them being there and obviously moving forward with us in that process. So just wanted to add that.
Just from the principal's perspective, anything to add anything to add to the reports or call out? Good. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the time of year where we start to think about enrollment for pre-K and kindergarten, so I just wondered if there's any preliminary numbers on any of that, and probably not yet, where it's just early March, but I wanted to mention that.
Mike, have you seen anything preliminary?
Oh, is it?
It's at the end of the Davis's report.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to that, Catherine, or do you want me to?
At this point, we've just opened the registration for pre-K and kindergarten, so we don't have our numbers quite in yet. But Mrs. Davis just made, I think she put in that we currently have 17 signed up for pre-K and 69 anticipated for kindergarten, and we expect those numbers to grow.
Thank you.
I mean, we are very early in the process, so you know that if those are your numbers now, they will continue to grow into the summer, for sure. Just a reminder to the committee that we currently have 4 sections of pre-K, a PM and an AM and a PM, alternating days. So we max out at 18 per session, so we can go up to 36, 72, I think it is. So just, we do have a cut at that point.
And I missed it during the acknowledgements, but I just really appreciate all the Facebook messages that have been out there by the admin. I know there's some difficult subjects that have been tackled, so thank you. In particular, Zach, I really appreciate what you're communicating.
Okay. B, Facilities Track Committee. We haven't met as a track committee since we broke ground. Haley, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I did have a question on the PFAS stuff that wasn't included, so I didn't get to ask a question. Back to what I was asking earlier, so what is the benefit, or how does it work with them choosing the grant? Is it because the grant will cover, like the grant application will cover the cost, or how does that work with the bid?
Maine Drink Water selects, the way I understand the process, we have submitted the application, Maine Drink Water will put that program out, Kathy Rogers will be at our site here at the high school next Wednesday or Tuesday to evaluate how big of a project we're looking at. They're going to have to put, I think it's called meters on to see how much water will pump out. They'll measure it. They'll, obviously the grant's submitted. They will, and again, I believe this is how the process works. They'll see how much water we're drawing out. They'll see how big of a system this has to be. Main Drink Water will put that out to bid. They will select the bidder because it's a grant, and then, or the winning bid, excuse me, they will select it. We then pay for it. They then reimburse us.
Thank you.
I had a superintendent's, we have it's called a new superintendent with MSMA on Friday, and I don't want to say thankfully, but there were many of us in that room who all experienced a failed PFAS in the last 60 days, and we're all kind of scrambling because we're fortunate we can afford it, but there's a lot of districts that are looking at really hefty price tags to try to initially pay for it and then get reimbursed. So we're in a good position where we can afford that and then afford to get reimbursed.
So you were asking questions about facilities?
Yeah.
I've still been waiting, I've asked several times about our capital improvement projects and where we were at with that. We haven't met, or I haven't met with you or facilities to discuss those and have a tour so we could see where we're at. Is that something you're working on a date, or?
So this year we have no SIPS projects planned. At least we are waiting on a bid for one project here at the high school for a walk-in freezer. But we don't have any SIPS projects, so we didn't do a facilities walkthrough to look at the projects like last year. I believe we had 5 or 6 SIPS projects, Jamie? 5? At least one at every campus. We did a well, a roof, paving, boiler repair, boiler replacement. But that was something that came up in the finance committee, and I think that's something that we'll have to evaluate, taking our 2019 Carpenter and Bragg project list. They gave us a list of things and levels that they wanted to see fixed. And so I think we're going to have to take that, cross off what we've done, and then move things forward. So no, I haven't set that up for any time in the near future, but I will need to moving forward as we prepare for 2025 budget.
All right, Finance Committee, I'm on C. We met last Thursday. We made, I thought, good progress, and we're going to meet again in the next couple of weeks. We'll get an announcement out on the date once we are in a position to present something.
Yeah, we'll have a date here in the next day or two. Jamie and I have been working on some numbers, so we'll kind of get that under control and get a new date out probably late next week.
I just want to give Jamie a huge shout out because she worked and Micah worked really hard on the tuition rate, and it's great to see the additional money that we're getting. And I'm very thankful that Danielle and Josh and John are at the table for the finance committee. I think it's going to be great for us to work together. So thank you.
A few questions on that. So obviously I follow other schools too, and I noticed that other schools do allow, after the committee works on the budget, then they propose that to the community and they allow open workshops and dialogue. Is that something that we could facilitate communication and feedback?
The next finance meeting, like the one on Thursday, will be open to the public for everyone.
It's open to the public, but it's not, you're not allowing feedback.
And like last meeting, there will be public comment as well to start. D, Policy Committee.
There's nothing to report tonight regarding Policy Committee. We don't have any dates set right now.
Okay. Tech Committee, D.
We haven't met, given that it's budget season, but I know we will.
We haven't had an update in a couple committee meetings either. We haven't had any updates from IT in the reports, I noticed.
I will ask Mr. Wheeler to send you a report this week. Okay, thank you. Spruce, F.
I attended this Spruce meeting this past Thursday, just same as the Finance Committee, on March 2nd, and we, as a board, passed the budgets for the Bangor Regional Program and also the multi-handicap program. That was the majority of our discussion Thursday night.
Okay, thank you. Next, G, finance report, H, curriculum and assessment report, and I, transportation and facilities are as written in your packet. I'm going to go around the table here on possible future agenda items. J, Shannon,
I'm all set, thank you.
Deb,
I'm good, thank you.
Haley,
All set for now.
Chris? And I'm all set. Item 9, approval of warrants. Let's take these as a group if you guys don't mind.
I move to approve the warrants as listed from February 3rd through February 24th. Oh, actually, it would be March, like for the latest time, March 3rd.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
We don't vote on your warrant.
Thank you. Item 11, can I get a motion to enter executive session? Can you just read what the motion is?
Sure, I will move to move into executive session pursuant to MRSA 4056D, discussion of labor contract negotiations with the Hermon Educational Commissions at 7:02.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Stop quitting and